Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time from your busy schedules to participate today in the Electronic Claim Submittal training webinar. My name is Jennifer Sheehan, and I am a supervisor of a unit that reviews covered electronic waste recycling payment claims. I am presenting with Diana Gabata, who is a claim analyst in our program and has been building the electronic claim submittal system through our CWIS database. We encourage you to ask questions today, and if you would like one-on-one assistance, please feel free to contact us at ewasteclaims@calrecycle.ca.gov. We are here to help. Next slide, please. During this webinar, we will use a mock May 2026 claim with a made-up recycler, collectors, and residual facilities that we created for training purposes. I chose to create a mock CBEP claim since CBEP are new to the program and you may not be familiar with the claim documentation. Today, we will review what the Covered Electronic Waste Information System, referred to as CWIS, is, Sections 1 through 6 of the completed claim forms, and the form fields in CWIS that correspond to these sections. We will provide an opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. Sections 7 and 8 of complete claim forms and the corresponding sections in CWIS. Another opportunity to ask any questions that you may have. Then we will discuss making corrections to a claim after it has been submitted, the claim summary for your records, uploading, naming, and combining files. We will provide another opportunity to answer any questions. We will review the documentation required for a transfer of covered electronic waste and the claim completeness checklist. Then we will provide one last opportunity to ask questions about anything covered in the presentation. There are two ways that you can ask a question. You can raise your hand and you will be unmuted, or you can type a question into the meeting Q&A. We will read your question and respond. After responding, we will unmute you to make sure that we answered your question. Next slide, please. CWIS is the database that CalRecycle uses to process and pay covered electronic waste recycling payment claims. CalRecycle began modifying CWIS in 2024, allowing recyclers to submit claims electronically. Due to new regulations, all claims, CRT, non-CRT, and CBEP claims must be submitted electronically beginning on April 1st, 2026. Next slide, please. To modernize the program, CalRecycle continues to enhance CWIS. We are moving away from the use of some claim forms and toward the entry and importing of claim information directly into CWIS. With the exception of Form 196, claim forms are still available on our website and they may be used for your records. In this webinar, we will review each section of the claim forms and the corresponding tabs and sections in CWIS. We will review what information will be entered directly into CWIS, what information can be imported, and what will be uploaded. Please note that the examples shown in this presentation are for training purposes. Recyclers are responsible for following regulatory requirements when submitting any information to CalRecycle. Next slide, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diana Gubata. I am a program analyst with CalRecycle's e-waste branch. I support CWIS system updates, website coordination, and claim review process. Today, I will be providing a walkthrough on how to submit claims electronically in CWIS. Jennifer will then compare this process to the updated reference forms. As noted in the prior webinars, CalRecycle has revised the claim forms and retired Form 196. All data previously entered on Form 196 will now be entered directly into our CWIS system. On this screen, at the top of the slide, you will see the landing page when you log into your WebPass account. At the bottom of the slide, you are going to see how to submit a payment claim. You will see on the left-hand navigation window, select payment claims. This takes you to the payment claim page. You will then see all past claims that have been submitted and any submissions you are still working on. You can then select Add Claim to start that process. Next slide, please. You will see that Claim Types is now set up as a radio button. You have 4 options: CRT, non-CRT, CRT and non-CRT, and Battery Embedded Products, BEP. Next slide, please. This screen will show you information and allow you to start the claim process. You will see participant information as well as pending and completed claims that you have submitted for the past 6 months. You will start by entering the reporting year and the reporting month. You will select the claim type. This can be CRT, non-CRT, CRT and non-CRT, or CBEP. Please note that CBEP claims must be submitted separately. After the reporting year, month, and CEW type is selected, you'll be able to enter the total pounds, and the rate will automatically be selected. If the reporting period and CEW type has been submitted already, you will receive an error message. It is important to select the correct reporting period to ensure the proper rate is identified for each claim. CRT. The reporting month for a recycling payment claim is the calendar month in which the approved recycler or dual entity first makes shipments to an initial destination or bare CRT or CRT glass cutlets derived from the claimed CEW. Non-CRT, the reporting month for a recycling payment claim is the calendar month in which the approved recycler or dual entity first cancels any of the non-CRT CEW being claimed. CBEP, the reporting month for a recycling payment claim is the calendar month in which the approved recycler or dual entity first cancels any of the battery embedded CEW being claimed. You will then enter your total pounds. You will see that the claim signatory will default to whoever is logged in, but still can be changed with the drop-down box. Once you save your selection, you will have created a submission number to start your claim. Next slide, please. The claim submission process may have up to 5 tabs to be completed before the claim can be submitted. As this is a CBEP claim, there are only 4 tabs. The number of tabs will be determined by the claim type you have selected. You will then see the tabs at the top update to show what information is required to submit a claim. You will see the tab Detail 196. Changes can be made until you submit your claim. Depending on the claim type, you may see tab CRT 196A, non-CRT 196B, BEP 196C. As this is an example, it is a BEP claim, so we do see BEP 196C. On the right-hand side, you will notice a box become viewable, which shows the checklist of required documents. Depending on the claim type, this list will be tailored to the documents required for the claim submission you are working on. The checklist will be viewable on the Documents tab as well. As the documents are added, you will see a green check mark. There are tooltips that will be displayed on the individual documents that can provide additional information about the documents we need. You will notice the changes for the document submit is now 2 tabs. These tabs have been split. There is now a Documents tab and a Submit tab. You will see more details of these tabs later in the presentation. Next slide.
CalRecycle Form 196C is the new form for the documentation of CBEP-CEW cancellation. Sections 1 through 6 of the form will be entered directly into form fields in CWIS. Our mock claim for Rebecca Recycling is a May 2026 claim, and the claim activity period, or CAP, is May 1st, 2026 to May 29th, 2026. Recyclers sometimes make mistakes with the reporting month and the CAP. As mentioned earlier, for CRT claims, the reporting month is the month that the recycler first ships bare CRTs. For non-CRT claims and CBEP claims, the reporting month is the month that cancellation began. The CAP starting date is the same for all CEW types, the date of the first transfer. The CAP end date for CRT claims is the last date of bare CRT shipment. For non-CRT and CBEP claims, it is the last date of cancellation. In our mock claim, Rebecca Recycling collected 160,000 pounds of CBEP CEW, but only had time to cancel 130,000 pounds, so they can only claim 130,000 pounds. They explained that they will cancel the remaining 30,000 pounds in June. They calculated the payment by multiplying the standard statewide combined recovery and recycling payment rate by the 130,000 pounds of canceled CBEP CEW. They selected the method of cancellation. Next slide, please.
In this slide, we show you information required from the 196C for Section 1, 2, and 3. Section 1, date of first transfer. Then we request date of last BEP cancellation, collected and transferred to the recycler during this claim activity period. Canceled during the claim activity period is filled out from the 196 tab. Collected and transferred but not canceled during this claim activity period, the difference between the previous two boxes. Section 2, disposition of BEP CEW collected and transferred but not canceled. A brief description will be inputted here to identify the numbers. If no difference is listed, NA is added. Section 3, calculating of cancellation BEP from California source only. This information, the first 3 sections, is auto-filled in. That's from the 196 tab. The one question that is being requested is the cancellation method used by the recyclers making this claim. Generally, the default is dismantling BEP CEW by removing the battery. Next slide.
Sections 4 and 5 on the hard copy of the 196C are used to record the total pounds of residuals generated, shipped, and stored. There are a few important things to understand about this section. In a CBEP claim, each battery chemistry is considered a separate residual. As a result, the generated and shipped weights of each battery chemistry are required. The recycler must issue separate weighmaster certificates for each battery chemistry. The total weight of all of the battery chemistries is also required. A mistake that I often see new recyclers make in this section is including previous month's storage on this form. Only the weights of residuals generated as a result of this month's cancellations should be listed. For example, in our mock claim, the 1,000 pounds of stored copper were the result of May's cancellations only. Next slide, please.
The CEWIS entry of the residuals generated, shipped, and stored looks very similar to the form entry. In this slide, you will see post-cancellation disposition for batteries and weight of treatment residuals. Post-cancellation disposition for batteries is a summary breakdown of the battery details and chemistry. Weight of treatment residuals is the summary of all residuals generated broken down of total shipped and total store. You will see all battery chemistries is asking for the weight of all the batteries combined. When adding post-cancellation disposition, you will select Add New Record for each line item. As you finalize the individual sections, you want to save changes to ensure those records are retained. As we go through each table for CBEP, this process is the same for the 196C CRT and the 196B non-CRT CEW. If other battery chemistries are selected, additional details need to be provided to specify the chemistry. As a reminder, the only residuals that must be shipped prior to the submittal of a claim is bare CRTs. All other residuals may be stored. Next slide.
Section 6 of the form is used to record the dates of cancellation, the total pounds canceled each day, and the method of cancellation used. Next slide, please.
Daily cancellation entry for all claim types are processed the same way. There are multiple ways to fill out this information. This is a required field as we do need the daily cancellation record for all claims for it to be a complete claim. You can individually add each record with the date and weight. Next slide. The other option is to import records. We have templates that we are updating for CBEP that will be shared within the next 2 weeks and will work for all claim types. If the information is filled out on your Excel workbook, you can then import the data directly into the table, as seen in the 2 slides. First, you will select Choose File. Then you can locate your file on your computer. Please make sure you utilize the template we created. Since the template provides a ready-to-use structure, it has pre-configured headers and labels that the website can read. Next slide, please. After selecting the file, you will select Import the Excel file or CalRecycle PDF form. All items will autofill within the table. Here you will see an example of a cancellation log completed with the template and how it will appear once it imports. Also, the files will automatically save with your claim as backup in the Documents tab. Next slide.
Thank you, Diana. I will now move on to any questions we may have about the previous section. You may ask a question in one of the following ways. Questions can be submitted using the Q&A feature. Simply type your question into the Q&A box. Audio questions are submitted via the raised hand function. Please raise your hand to be unmuted when you are called upon. In addition to Jennifer and Diana, my colleagues Anna Maria and Rebecca, both managers in the CEW Recycle program, will be happy to answer your questions. I will start with the questions from the Q&A. And I don't see any questions in the Q&A, so I will move on to the questions, audio questions. If you have a question that is submitted, please submit it via the raised hand function and you will be called upon. Please state your name and affiliation, then ask your question. And I do not see any raised hands. Therefore, we will continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Section 7 of the form records the accumulation start date, the date shipped, reference number, pounds generated, shipped and stored for each battery chemistry, and the name of the destination that the batteries were shipped to. I recommend using the Weighmaster certificate for the reference number. If a battery chemistry was stored, such as the nickel metal hydride batteries in this example, The destination facility should be left blank. Next slide, please.
We have identified this section as an area we plan to enhance soon so that recyclers will have the option to import this information directly. Once this enhancement is complete, we will share all claim submission templates and notify recyclers of the update. In this section, you will identify the individual battery chemistries that have been shipped. The purpose of this section is to break down the battery chemistry and specify the corresponding shipping information. When we request pounds generated, pounds stored, and pounds shipped, we are asking for the material associated specifically with the reporting month of the claim. For example, in Rebecca's May claim, the reporting generated 9,000 pounds. Of the 9,000 pounds, they stored 7,000 and shipped 2,000 pounds. Please remember that when you provide pounds stored and pounds shipped, the number should reflect only the material associated with the claim month being reported. Next slide.
Section 8 of this form records the shipments of other treatment residuals, such as, but not limited to, plastic, copper, non-copper metals, circuit boards, glass, and fibers. This section also records the description of material flow, meaning the various brokers or facilities that some residuals are shipped to until the residuals reach a final recycling or processing facility or a landfill. Please note that in this example, the first plastic shipment shows that 25,000 pounds of plastic were shipped, but only 13,000 pounds were claimed. The difference is due to shipping of 12,000 pounds of plastic that were generated and stored in a previous claim. Next slide, please. In this example, for clarity, when shipping more pounds of a residual than are claimed, please consider adding a note that explains the difference. In this example, a note was added to the bottom of the weighmaster certificate and highlighted in blue, explaining that 12,000 pounds of plastic were generated in April's claim, and the remaining 13,000 pounds of the shipment were generated during May's cancellations. This allows claim reviewers to understand what occurred and to move more quickly through this part of the review. Next slide, please. I'd like to clarify how a recycler should report residual shipments that occur after the cap end date, but before the claim is submitted to CalRecycle. In this example, the cap end date is May 29, 2026, but the last shipment of plastic occurred the following day. If you have residual shipments that occur after the cap end date, but before you submit the claim, please include the required shipping documents in the claim and list the residual as shipped in Section 5. In this example, the 10,000 pounds of plastic shipped after the cap end date are included in the 23,000 pounds of plastic shipped. Next slide, please.
In this section, we identify all other residuals that were shipped. Here, you will record the shipment date, the type of residual, the destination, and a description of the material flow, the total shipped weight, and the total claimed weight for each residual. You can enter the item in two ways. Add each one manually as a record, or import the information which will be demonstrated in the next screens. In this section, we request both a shipped weight and the claimed weight. The claimed weight represents the portion of the total shipped weight that is associated specifically with the reporting month for the claim being submitted. Only material generated during the reporting period should be included in the claimed weight. Next slide. The other option is to import records. We have a template that have been shared and will work for all claim types. If the information is filled out in your Excel workbook, you can then import the data directly into the table as seen in the two slides. First, you select Choose File. Then you can locate your file on your computer. Please make sure you utilize the templates we've created, as the templates provide a ready-to-use structure. It will have pre-configured headers and labels that this website can read. We'll be updating the template to show a reference for all material types. I will send those out to the recyclers for their use. Next slide. After selecting the file, you will select Import Excel File or CalRecycle PDF form. All line items should then autofill within the table. Here you will see an example of a shipping log completed with the Excel template and how it would appear once it imports. Also, the files will automatically save with your claim as backup in the Documents tab. We will be updating the templates to show the reference for all material types. I will send those out to the recyclers for their use. This process is the same for the 196A CRT and 196B non-CRT. The 196A, the 196B, and the 196C forms act as a PDF import template for treatment residual shipments. We can complete the online version and apply the same process to the Excel file to automatically fill in the table with the required information. Next slide, please. You will notice that Documents now has its own tab. We have also expanded the view so you can easily see all documents you upload. To add a document, select Add Document to the top. This will take you to the Payment Claims Document Detail page. For CBEP, there are 5 required document categories, which you can select from the drop-down type menu. You can upload additional documents within any category, and we've also added an other category if your document doesn't fit into one of the 5 required types. For each uploaded document, you will enter a document title and may add descriptions and notes. After you click Save, you can return to the Documents tab. On the right-hand side, you will see your checklist of required documents. As you upload each one, the checklist will automatically update with a green check mark. You can also hover over the tooltips next to each required document for additional guidance. Under Payment Claim Documents, you will see preview icons of the document formats. You can click any of these to view or download them. All uploaded documents will appear in the table, showing the title, description, upload date, and document type. At the bottom of the table, you will see an example of imported shipments. If you use this import feature on the 196C, the documents will automatically save to your Documents tab, and the checklist is updated. This process is the same for CRT, non-CRT, and CBEP. Next slide. Now we're on the Submit tab, which is the final step. This tab includes the claim legalese language. The signature is automatically filled based on the user who is logged into the system and cannot be changed. The only item you will need to update is the city sign field. To do this, click Edit, select the correct city, and then click Save. The Submit Online Claim button will only appear once all sections of the claim have been completed and all required documents have been uploaded. When everything is finished, you can select Submit. Please note that once the claim is submitted, no further changes can be made to the online submission. This process is the same for all claim types, CRT, non-CRT, and CBEP. Next slide.
Thank you, Diana. I will now move on to any questions we may have about the previous section. Again, you may ask a question in one of the 2 following ways. Questions can be submitted using the Q&A feature. Simply type in your question into the Q&A box. Also, audio questions are submitted via the raised hand function. Please raise your hand to be unmuted when you're called upon. In addition to Jennifer and Diana, my colleagues Anna Maria and Rebecca, both managers in the CEW recycling program, will be happy to answer your questions. I will start from questions from the Q&A. I don't see any questions in the Q&A. I will move on to any questions in the raised hands or on audio. So if you have an audio question that's submitted, please raise your hand or use the raise hand function and I will call on you. Looks like there is no questions. Therefore, we will continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Next, we will discuss corrections to submitted claims, the claim summary for recyclers' records, uploaded, naming, and combining files. Next slide, please. After an electronic claim has been submitted to CalRecycle, the claim is locked and the recycler cannot make any changes. If a mistake was made when entering information directly into CWIS, such as the total pounds of a residual shipped or stored, the recycler can email the claim reviewer and provide the original information and the corrected information. The claim reviewer can correct the CWIS record on your behalf. Next slide, please.
CalRecycle has added a new claim summary report feature that allows recyclers to view and download a PDF summary of their claim. This report captures your submission information, along with any updates or changes made throughout the process. You can generate this report at any point after starting a submission. As your claim progresses, or if any modifications are made, you can request a new report. Each time you generate it, the PDF will reflect the most current information. This feature is available on the 196 tab of every claim submission you will see. Claim information, payment approved, payment issued, claim details, and a material summary. At the bottom of the report, you will also see a report issued section, which provides a timestamp showing when the document was generated. Next slide. Today, we want to share a few helpful tips for organizing and uploading files for your claim. These practices will make your submission easier to manage and reduce the number of individual uploads you need to complete. We'll focus on 3 areas: naming convention, folder uploads versus individual file uploads, and combining files. First, organizing your documents into folders before you submit them helps keep the data structured and limits the number of uploads. In the example on the screen, you will see 2 main categories: shipping records and transfers. For shipping records, you can create subfolders for each material type. Inside each subfolder, include the corresponding documents or shipping receipts. File names can include the material type, dates, or weighmaster certificate number. This makes the document easy to locate and helps us retrieve information more quickly during our review. Transfers often involve a large number of files. Organizing them by collector, CWIT ID, or both is extremely helpful in ensuring that all required documentation is included. Within each collector folder, you can also add subfolders for individual handlers. When you save each transfer, labeling it with the transfer reference number or weighmaster certificate number helps us easily identify the document. Overall, this level of organization reduces the number of uploads, keeps your documents in order, and helps prevent missing items during submission. Next slide. Once your files are organized, compress the files into a zip file so the entire folder can be uploaded at once. To do this, select the folder, right-click, choose Compress to, and select Zip File. After the zip file is created, you can upload it to your online submission. Another helpful tip is to combine multiple documents for a single transfer into one PDF. The original file may be in different formats. Consolidating them into a single PDF allows us to complete both the completeness and compliance review more efficiently. The faster the review is finished, the sooner we can move the claim forward for approval. Although the presentation focuses on CBEP, this process Tips and updates apply to all claim types. I will also share all templates again that can be used across all claim types. Next slide.
Thank you, Jennifer. Once again, I will now move on to any questions about the previous section. You may ask the question one of the two following ways. Again, questions can be submitted via the Q&A feature. Simply type in your question into the Q&A box, and audio questions are submitted via the raised hand function. I will start with questions from the Q&A. And I do not see any questions in the Q&A. I will therefore move on to questions, audio questions that are submitted via the raised hand function. And I do not see any questions via the raised hand function. Therefore, we will continue on with the presentation. Thank you.
Next slide, please. As discussed in February's Recycler webinar, beginning on April 1st, 2026, CalRecycle is changing the way in which it reviews recycling payment claims. This applies to all CEW types, CRT, non-CRT, and CBEP claims. Claim review will consist of two parts, the claim completeness review and the compliance review. The completeness review will occur during the first 30 days of review and will ensure that the recycler has submitted all of the required documentation. If a claim is deemed complete, the recycler will be notified and the compliance portion of the review begins. If the claim is deemed deficient, CalRecycle shall reject the claim and notify the recycler of the specific reasons that the claim was deemed deficient. We hope to be able to let recyclers know about all of the deficiencies in a claim, but there may be instances where we find additional deficiencies, and the regulations allow for this. After deficiencies are corrected and the claim is resubmitted, the claim shall be considered a new claim and will be assigned a new claim number. CalRecycle has a total of 90 days to review the new claim. Within 30 days of the new claim submission, CalRecycle will review the new claim for completeness. If the new claim is complete, CalRecycle shall notify the recycler and will continue with the review of the claim. If the claim is deficient, CalRecycle shall notify the recycler of the specific reasons that the claim was deemed deficient and reject the claim so that the recycler can correct and resubmit the claim. Next slide, please. In order for a transfer to be deemed complete, the following documentation must be submitted. A transfer receipt documenting the total units and weights transferred from an approved collector to an approved recycler. Collection logs documenting the collection of CEW. It's important to note that the collection log requirements for CRT, non-CRT, and CBEP CEW are the same. If applicable, a proof of designation referred to as a POD. California Code of Regulations, Section 18660.48C requires designated approved collectors to provide a copy of the applicable POD to another approved collector or approved recycler at the time of transfer. Since the POD is required at the time of transfer, the POD is a required component of each transfer in which CEW are collected under a designation. Please make sure that the applicable POD is attached to each transfer and not uploaded separately with all of the PODs bundled together. Please note that Section 18660.48B requires CEW collected under a designation to be logged separately. Since designations cover the collection of CEW and CBEP are a type of CEW, existing designations cover the collection of CBEP CEW. If applicable, source anonymous collection logs. Section 18660.20J1E requires source anonymous CEW to be documented separately from CEW that has California source documentation. Next slide, please. Next, we will share the claim completeness checklist. Before we do, here is the disclaimer for this presentation. Checklist, please. Thank you. To assist recyclers in submitting complete claims, CalRecycle has created a claim completeness checklist for each CEW type. The checklist will be posted on our website by the end of next week. We will send an email notifying you when the checklists are posted on our website. It is important to note that the checklists are provided as a quick reference tool to assist approved recyclers in submitting complete payment claims. They summarize documentation and reporting elements required under the Electronic Waste Recycling Act and related regulations. The checklists do not replace or modify statutory or regulatory requirements. CalRecycle will evaluate claims for completeness and eligibility based on applicable statutes and regulations. This is a completeness checklist for CRT claims. It is broken down into the following sections. The information that is directly entered into CWIS. The required documentation when bare CRTs are shipped to the following ultimate dispositions: a hazardous waste landfill or a lead smelter facility. Can you go to the next page, please? Thank you. Requirements when shipping other residuals such as, but not limited to, plastic, copper, non-copper metals, wood, circuit boards, and other. The total pounds of each treatment residual. Can you go to the next page, please? Oh, I guess it was at the bottom of the... Thank you, perfect. The daily cancellation logs, transfers and collection logs, a check to verify that the total weight claimed is supported by the transfers and cancellation records. Next page, please. The non-CRT checklist is structured in the same manner. It consists of the information that is directly entered into CWIS, requirements for bare plasma panels, which is broken down into requirements for shipped bare plasma panels, requirements for stored bare plasma panels, requirements for LCD lamps. Can you scroll down a little? There we go. The requirements for LCD lamps are broken down into requirements when shipped to a recycling facility, requirements when shipped to a hazardous waste landfill, requirements when stored. Requirements when shipping other residuals such as, but not limited to, plastic, copper, non-copper metals, LCD bare panels, circuit boards, and other. Please include the batteries generated from non-CRT cancellation here. The total pounds of each treatment residual. The daily cancellation logs. You scroll down to, there we go. The logs of the make, model, and individual weight of each non-CRT CEW prior to cancellation. Transfers and collection logs. A check to verify that the total weight claimed is supported by the transfers and cancellation records. Next page, please. The final checklist is for CBEP claims, which consists of separate weighmaster certificates issued by the recycler for each treatment residual derived from the cancellation of CBEP CEW. The information that is entered directly into CWIS. The documentation required for each of the following battery chemistries, which is on the, there you go. lithium ion, nickel metal hydride, sealed lead acid, nickel cadmium, and other batteries. Requirements are broken down into the requirements when batteries are shipped to a recycling facility, the requirements when batteries are shipped to a hazardous waste landfill, the requirements when stored. Requirements when shipping other residuals such as, but not limited to, plastic, copper, non-copper metals, circuit boards, glass, fibers, any hazardous components, and other. Requirements are broken down into requirements when shipped to a hazardous waste landfill, requirements when shipped to a recycling facility, requirements when stored. The total pounds of each treatment residual, the daily cancellation logs, transfers and collection logs, a check to verify that the total weight claimed is supported by the transfers and cancellation records. Next page, please.
Thank you, Jennifer. I will now move on to any questions we may have about the previous or any section of the presentation today. Once again, you may ask a question in one of the two following ways. Questions can be submitted using the Q&A feature. Simply type your question into the Q&A box, and audio questions are submitted via the raised hand function. Please raise your hand to be unmuted when you're called upon. I will start with any questions from the Q&A. I do not see any questions from the Q&A. I will now move on to audio questions that are submitted via the raised hand function. If you have a question, please raise your hand. I do not see any questions. Oh, I see. There's a question now in the Q&A. Thank you. The question asks, can you elaborate on the battery shipped with individual weight tickets?
The requirement is for the weighmaster certificate, not for the shipment. Does that answer your question?
Thank you, Jennifer. I do not see other questions, either via Q&A or raised hand function. Therefore, we will continue with the presentation. Thank you.
Next page, please. This concludes our presentation. Oh, we have one more question.
Thank you. Another question came in, and so we'll just stop and address the question in the Q&A feature. The question is, what if all batteries are shipped separated, but no one, sorry, let me read that. What if all batteries are shipped separated, but no on one weight ticket, excuse me. What if all batteries are shipped separated, but on one weight ticket?
Hello, Tony. This is Anna Maria. I will answer your question. Just want to make sure I understand that correctly. So feel free to unmute yourself. Just want to make sure. So you are asking whether the batteries are shipped to the same locations, right? All batteries. Are you asking if all battery chemistry are shipped to the same location? You, per regulation, you will have to have weighmaster certificates with each battery chemistry should be listed separately on the weighmaster certificate. You can still ship all battery chemistry. So this is about the weighmaster certificate that should not include other commodities. It's not about the shipment that it has to be separate.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, for example, if you were to ship all the batteries to one location, they are separated per line on the weight ticket with each individual weight, but it equals one weight ticket.
So when you generate them, because when you generate residual, so for the battery embedded claims, all residual needs to be weighed separately at the end of the cancellation. And the batteries have to be weighed separately per battery chemistry. So you'll have to have lithium ion batteries generated from that cancellation weighed on a weighmaster certificate separate from other battery chemistry at the end of the cancellation.
Right. That's on the cancellation.
Right.
But
So
when it gets shipped out.
So you're asking when you shipped out if you can put them on a weighmaster certificate. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yes.
And you are shipping to the same location?
Correct.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I have that scenario, and I'm now looking at the regulations in front of me. So the regulation says that the recycler must include weighmaster certificates of individual shipments, including only batteries derived from the cancellation of battery embedded CW and not including any other commodities.
Right. For example, plastic will go somewhere else, but like the batteries, let's say it goes to ABC battery recycling, you will have the lithium, the ion, each one with individual weight. But it's all on one bill of lading that can also serve as a weight ticket.
And this is only for battery, right? As you said, it's
Correct.
no other residual. And you have
Correct.
separate chemistries at the end of the cancellation.
Correct.
Yeah. So looking at again, it says for each battery chemistry. So because again, I look at the regulations and it says for each battery chemistry. So for the weighmaster for the shipping should also be separate per battery chemistry, but you can ship it together. It's just the weighmaster certificate needs to be per battery chemistry.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
And just the battery chemistry, right? We already
just the battery.
talked that no plastic, right? But it has to be because
no plastic, no metal.
The regulation made clear that it has to be per battery chemistry.
Yes, understood.
Thank you. Is there any other follow-up question, Tony, on this one or anything else?
No.
Thank you for your question, Tony.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like we have another question that appeared in the Q&A. The question is, do we need to provide a weight ticket for batteries stored? Do we need to provide this in the claim packet?
Thank you for your question. Yes, you do. Prior to submitting a CBEP claim, you need to issue weighmaster certificates for each treatment residual. And again, each battery chemistry is considered a separate treatment residual. Does that answer your question? Do you have any follow-up questions?
Christine, are you there? Okay, guess not. We can't hear you if you are. We'll come back to you. We'll move on for now. Looks like another question came in to the Q&A. Will this webinar be available to review in the future?
Yes, it will. This is being recorded and it will be posted on our website. Do you have any other questions?
And George, okay, guess no other questions there, but we did get another question from Tony, asking for stored. Tony, Tony, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, the question was if you needed a weight ticket for the stored batteries to be submitted on the claim. Can you hear me?
Yes, I apologize. Just a moment,
Okay.
please.
Hi, Tony. This is Ana Maria. So we could have multiple scenarios here. So if you don't ship any of them, so everything is stored, you'll have the weighmaster certificate because you need to weigh them after cancellation and you need to weigh them per battery chemistry. So that's a scenario when everything gets stored. Are you asking about a scenario when some of it gets shipped? For the shipment, you need to have individual weighmaster certificate and some of the remaining batteries are stored. So are you asking about a scenario like that or when all batteries are stored? Or both scenarios? Because you can have, not everything could be stored, but if all the batteries are stored, you have to weigh them after cancellation. All treatment residuals generated from cancellation will have to be weighed. So the batteries, you'll have the weighmaster certificate. So if all those batteries will be stored, that is the weighmaster certificate that you have.
Correct. But the question was, do you have to submit that weight ticket for the batteries that was stored?
If some of them are shipped and some are stored? Because if all
for
of them
the
are
ones that
shipped,
were stored.
for the ones that are, so we will, per regulations, you will have so for what it's shipped, you'll have to have the weighmaster certificate. And then for the stored, we added that, yes, to the checklist. So you'll have to have that weighmaster certificate.
Does that weight certificate need to be sent with the claim showing that weight was stored?
And per battery chemistry.
Got it.
Yeah, and again, if all of them are stored, you'll already have that weighmaster certificates when you generate them.
Right.
Did I answer your question, Tony?
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear to myself that I have to send a weight ticket. If I have any stored batteries, I need to send that weight ticket in with my claim for the stored batteries.
Right, per battery chemistry.
Per battery chemistry, got it.
Good. Any other question or any follow-up question, Tony?
No.
Thank you. Thank you for attending.
Maria?
Yes.
Ana Maria and Tony, do you
Yes.
think to clarify that on the checklist to make that stand out more clearly? Tony, what do you think?
I think so. I think that's a great idea.
Okay, cool. Ana Maria and Rebecca, let's plan on doing that. We'll send out a revision. Thanks, Tony, for your input. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you, Tony.
You got it.
And I believe that is all the questions in the Q&A, and I do not see any raised hands, so we will continue with the presentation. Thank you.
This concludes our presentation. Thank you for your participation. The PowerPoint presentation, talking points, Recording of this webinar and the claim completeness checklist will be posted on our website. If you have any questions or would like one-on-one assistance, please contact us at ewasteClaims@calrecycle.ca.gov. We are happy to help.
Thank you for attending, and that concludes today's presentation. Thank you.